Hey everyone, this is Arathon Hanzo and welcome to the first look for Murders at Karlov Manor. Karlov Manor for Magic Gathering. I'm going to review all the juicy stuff that was shown off for the upcoming murder set by Wizards so far. So we get to see some of the new characters for the first time, starting here with Alquist Prof, Master Sleuth. Alquist himself is a debut of the creature type detective. We'll see many other detectives here in the set. Alquist also has a powerful mana ability to turn clues into card advantage in life. And since he makes his own clue, this can be put to use fairly quickly. One of the first other detectives we get to meet was the Wojek Investigator, another clue token generator when your opponent has more cards in hand than you do. This card seems like it'd be pretty good when you're playing a low curve kind of deck, just slamming out small creatures and spinning your hand, and then Wojek Investigator will just keep making clue tokens and helping you draw cards. Or even just power Alquist's ability. Now we have the Novice Inspector as our next detective, a 1-white clue token generator that seems like it will be fairly strong combat in the set. I think we can mix in some other ideas here now too that this guy can work with, since Wilds is still standard legal for as long as Murder is going to be. These clue token generators could also end up making bargain fodder as well, or craft fodder for cards from Lost Caverns. There's the disadvantage of losing the potential to draw a card, but it is nice to see that the sets continue to interact with each other, even after Wizards has moved on from the block publishing mindset. One big return coming is the Lightning Helix. In Boros, it does 3 damage and you gain 3 life. Very powerful card. Shock is also making a return here. I'm ready to just draft Red, White, Burn from this set. And if I don't get these cards, I'll just draft Red, White, Burn anyway and just lose. I don't know. That's my plan though. A couple more cards were shown off before we got to some more of the set info. And that was Fanatical Strength, which is a Story Spotlight card. There's supposed to be more of the Story Spotlight cards in this set than we've gotten from any other set before, so I'm curious to see how many there actually are. Saw a few more here in Deduce, a very on-brand blue card for 2 mana, draw a card, make a clue token. There's also Alquist in the artwork here, so more on that to come. Demand Answers in red, we see Aurelia doing her own detective work here. We haven't really gotten a whole lot on what the murder was so far, but we do keep seeing that it's kind of pointed Aurelia directly at Rakdos, and she kind of wants all-out fight with him. And the detectives seem to be working to show that it's a setup. But it's also Rakdos, so we'll have to wait and see what happens here in the story. So on top of having more Spotlight cards, they're also going to be getting the Magnifying Glass treatment here. We see this on some of the cards we just looked at, and since the set is going to be about finding about all the clues, I'd be interested to have all these side by side and try finding things in the Magnifying Glass version artwork that maybe wasn't in the normal Spotlight for some answers. The flavor text is also different on these cards, including Fanatical Strength, where now Kellen is mentioned. This guy's getting around so far after the war. He's been in Ixalan, he's been in Wild, so it's surprising to see Kellen here now too. Also, all of the Magnifying Glass cards will be non-creatures. After the Spotlight cards, we saw a couple main characters here in Aurelia, the Law Above. She has the triumvirate of angel abilities, except maybe First Strike could be more angel-like than Haste here, but she also carries Flying and Vigilance to go with it, and a couple interesting abilities that trigger when any player attacks with many creatures. She has her own built-in Lightning Helix whenever someone attacks with 5 or more creatures, so that could get pretty out of control. Of course, the other guild leader they showed off was Rakdos. This version has Flying and Trample, then a Draw 2 effect on your instep, unless your opponent wants to give up some non-land, non-token permanents. This effect is nice because if you get Rakdos to resolve, it's usually going to trigger once on your instep before your opponent plays a non-instant speed removal on their turn. This is a little bit better than stuff like Bonehorde Dragosaur that has to last all the way until your next upkeep before its effect actually takes. All of the guild leaders, though, are going to get a Spotlight card here in this treatment, but only these 2 have been shown off so far. Next up were the special land treatments that they're calling Impossible Lands for the impossible view they provide of Ravnica. But we also just looked at 2 residents of Ravnica with wings, so I'm pretty sure this view's been seen before, just not by us. I'm not going to judge the set though by its land treatment. Wizards does make us like 3 special land treatments in every set, so if one isn't a glorified banger, I'm not going to whine about it much. But here are the ones that were shown. I assume these will be included all in the collector boosters as the foil land and randomly kind of throughout the play boosters. They have the same general view of a guild house with the surrounding city. We got another look at how play boosters are going to work with an explanation of what comes in each slot. I'll cover up my face here for a bit for your benefit and so we can read this together. Slots 1 through 6 are all the commons. Slot 7 will either be the list card, special guest, or another common. Slots 8 through 10 will be uncommon, but could also have booster fun treatments. Slot 11 is the rare or mythic rare slot. 12 holds our basic land. Then slot 13 is the non-foil wild card, which can be booster fun all the way up to mythic rare. And slot 14 is the foil wild card that can be the same thing, a booster fun treatment card all the way up to mythic rare. Last is the token, art, ad, or what I like to call a disappointment slot, because when I open these in draft, all I ever get is the ad. I don't even get a token to use when I'm drafting. Then they showed the same graphic, but if you made the best pulls possible on each slot. So here we see a full art special guest card now in slot 7, an impossible land, a new treatment on Rakdos here in the wild card slot, and another new treatment for Aurelia. We got blown up versions of all these commons and uncommons as well here, so we didn't have to try to detective our way through what they were. There was a Burden of Proof, which is an enchantment with some detective synergy buff for your detective, or turn an opposing creature into a 1/1 that can't block detectives. Then Curious Cadaver is a zombie detective, so this may be a tease for the Final Fantasy crossover, and we'll get FF14's Hildebrand card as a zombie detective. That could have some pretty good synergy there. This guy just keeps coming back though. If you have enough clue tokens, whenever you burn one, you can bring Curious Cadaver back to your hand. Gleaming Geardrake also has some clue token synergy, gaining a +1 counter whenever you sacrifice an artifact. And of course it makes its own clue when it enters, so it's probably going to end up with 2/2 pretty quickly. Here we have a nice joke, and I'll let you marinate on it and let me know in the comments if you see what this card is referencing. But Meddling Youths will become a clue token generator for itself whenever you swing with 3 or more creatures. This will also work with Aurelia's 3 or more creatures attack mechanic. The Benthic Criminologists are some merfolk investigators. Merfolk's a hard word to say. So it seems like merfolk though is just going to keep coming this year. We've had some merfolk in each of the sets so far. So just keep snagging them. We'll see what that synergy builds up to. And these guys though, they can turn clues and other artifacts directly into cards without having to pay mana whenever they enter or when they attack. Hotshot Investigators has a nice bounce effect, and if you happen to have controlled whatever you bounced, you get to investigate as well. Out Cold continues blue tap-in stun counter mechanics. You also get to investigate. This card's kind of expensive though, but it is a common, but just one of the ones they showed off today. We also have the Topiary Panther, the rare green card in the highlights so far, a land cycler with trample. Magnifying Glass is a mana generating artifact that can also create 2 clue tokens. Clue is the word. We're going to say it all day long here. But at 4, and then you got to pay 2 to even crack the clue. I don't know like what the value really is here. Still 3 mana taps for a colorist, so we'll probably see some play. So that was all the cards we saw within the play booster breakdowns, and maybe a few others. I don't remember. There's been a whole lot of cards here. I got a whole lot of pictures of cards, so I'm just trying to make sure I get them all in. So if I didn't know where it went in right there, so you've seen it. We got a first look at all the packaging here now too for Murders with the first ever play booster box, and a reveal here of each of the commander deck themes. Now we're going to take a look at some of these special treatments we saw briefly earlier. There's an extended art Wojak Investigator card, and this is going to be the buy a box promo card. Then we also see the Investigator here again in what's being called the Dossier treatment. And all of these Dossier cards, like the Magnifying Glass cards, are going to have new text on them that may give us more clues into who the murderer was. So quickly, let's peek at all the Dossier cards that were shown so far. So we have one for Alquist and Aurelia, another Rakdos card, and Curious Cadaver comes back here, Gleaming Geardrake, and those Meddling Youths again. Now we have a showcase treatment too that'll be available for the different Guild Masters and Niv Mizzet, shown here on Aurelia and Rakdos. This version of the card is also going to come serialized, and it's going to be limited to just the Guild Masters and Niv again, and be serialized out at 250 instead of 500. There's also going to be a chase treatment on the Dossier cards called Invisible Ink. I kind of got a little screenshot here of Alquist. I couldn't grab it too well, so sorry if it looks bad, but Magic does have a video up on their website where they kind of show the whole shine on this thing and how the Invisible Ink actually works. So go check it out. It looks really cool, so I hope we all pull 10 of them and we become millionaires. We also have the Ravnica Clue Edition, and this is going to be a combo game of Magic and Clue that comes with 8 special boosters that play a lot like Jumpstart, where 4 players can each take 2 boosters and shuffle them together to have a ready-made deck. These boosters, though, will include some special cards from the game Clue that won't be available in the main set Murders. So we see here we have Senator Peacock, a transformed Clue character who's now a Ravnican Senator. Then we have some of the classic Clue weapons like the Lead Pipe, which is going to be available in play boosters, as will all of the Clue weapons. There will be locations like the dining room as seen here. And then the game itself should actually play like a combined game of Clue and Magic. I assume you'll take your turn in both games at the same time, and then you can win by defeating the other players in Magic or by solving the murder in Clue. Sounds a lot like chess boxing, where they alternate rounds of boxing and playing chess, and you can win by knockout or by checkmate. There's also going to be Shocklands making another new appearance here. I think they're coming out in Ravnica Remastered, and then for some reason they're here in Clue Edition, but they're not going to be available in Murder's Play Boosters. There's also going to be a full puzzle to solve for the real whodunit murder at the center of the set, as well as 15 other puzzles and one more meta puzzle. I don't know what that's going to be like, but it's all going to become available during the Murder's release time frame. The first episode of the Murder story is actually already available on the MTG website and probably contains some of the clues. No announcement on if there's a reward for solving the murder, so keep your eyes out for an upcoming announcement there. I assume there has to be some kind of chase for being the first person to, mail in our decoder ring and tell Wizards we know who done it. And we really got a whole lot of info here on this set, and we still have over 2 months before it's even released. I think I'm more excited about this one from a story perspective than any of the other sets we've seen for a bit. I also want to know why Kellen is there, so I probably need to go read the rest of the Ixalan story and kind of figure out how he ended up in Ixalan and what actually finished up that story on Ixalan there. But I'm really excited about the clue tokens, looking for clues inside of the cards themselves, really getting every card in this set so I can read all the flavor text and kind of get an idea of what happened. And I guess maybe like who's dead? Who died? I don't know who's dead yet. I kind of want to know what's going on. Was it really a setup? Did Rakdos really do this? What all is going to play out? But let me know what you think about all these reveals in the comments. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day and take care.